Okay. Janelle Wiley asked the same question. What happens if you have a chronic illness but you're not taking any medication? Here's what I tell people. The regulations are very clear. You have a duty to prove you're disabled. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the majority of medical conditions out there have some type of treating regimen for it. The key is, are you following a treatment regimen to help improve your condition? Because I've had people come to me and say, I have a condition that's chronic, that literally I'm not taking any medication, but my condition is still bad. And I tell them all the time, you have to prove you're disabled. For instance, if you come to me and you say, I'm a diabetic, diabetes is not going anywhere. And I'm going to say, you're right. What are you taking? Well, I'm not taking anything but I still have diabetes. I said, that doesn't work, because there are millions of people with diabetes who work. There are millions of people out there with hypertension who work. There are millions of people out there with mental health conditions who still work. What you have to do is prove that your medical condition, I don't care what it is, but it's to the point that it's disabling, despite the fact that even with treatment regimen. Don't focus, and this is where people lose sight. Stop focusing on the illness itself. Focus on what are you doing to survive and to try to work despite the impairment. That's the key. And see what happens. And that's why I get fired up when I'm talking to people, because I have somebody who comes to me and they'll throw out something. I have COPD. Okay. Are you smoking? Yeah. Did they hear you to stop? Well, yeah. So why are you still smoking? Well, it's not going to go away. Well, it's not going to improve either if you keep smoking. And that's how they look at it. Same thing. I have high blood pressure. Are you still eating foods with high salt content? Well, yeah. Well, why not? Well, my high blood pressure is not going away. You're missing the point. The focus is not on the illness. The focus is, what are you doing to improve your condition so you can go to work? Because now keep in mind, and we haven't talked about this in a while, Social Security takes in consideration certain circumstances where you're not able to get treatment. If you're in an area where you have no health insurance, you can't afford to go to the hospital, and you can't afford to pay any of your treatment. In certain instances, they understand that scenario. But here's the kicker. You got insurance, but you're not taking your medication because in your mind, you've decided, oh, the medication, it's not going to help my condition. It's not going anywhere. It's chronic. And I said, please stay away from that word chronic, because what happens is a lot of times people tell themselves that since they believe the condition won't go away, it's not going to improve. Therefore, they can't work. That's not the way it works. And this is what I tell people all the time. I said, there are blind people who work. I know of a gentleman who has only one arm and he still works. There are people out there with COPD, asthma, heart condition. I had a friend of mine right now who had a major heart condition, and guess what? He owns his own business. I have another one who's the exact same situation, heart condition. Guess what? He's a manager and he still works. And you say to yourself, well, I said, no. I'm telling you, don't focus on the condition. A lot of times what happens is people think that the condition is a slam dunk. And I'm telling them, no, the condition is not a slam dunk. You have to demonstrate that you're disabled. The regulation doesn't say demonstrate that you've got a condition, a medical condition. The regulation says you have to prove you are disabled, that condition keeps you from working. Okay. Janelle, I love this last question. What if you have a chronic illness where no medication will help it improve? This is one of the areas that I run across on a regular basis, where I tell people there are very, very few medical conditions out there where there are no medical treatment for improvement. And please forgive me for giving the hoochie lips, and that's not for you, Janelle, because I appreciate your question. The reason why I run across this is because invariably, almost all the time, I tell people, when people come to me and say, I've got a condition that's not going to improve. And here's one thing I tell people. Two things, actually. One, there are medical advancements happening on a daily basis. So there are very few conditions out there that offer no opportunity for improvement. That's one. Two, if you're not following anybody who's keeping you apprised of any of these changes, how are you going to know if it's going to improve? And that's a nice way of saying you don't know if there's no medical treatment out there. You've got to follow someone. Someone has to be monitoring your medical condition. There's only one. No, I was going to say one. I said, no, it's not even one that I've run across. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a few comments from people to say, what about this? And what about that? What about this? What about that? And I'm thinking, okay, you're going to be able to provide me some examples. I get it. What I'm telling you is that even if you can provide me the name of a condition that you're fairly confident that there's no medical treatment to improve that condition, I'm going to look at you and say, but you still have to have someone who is following that condition. Someone, somehow, or something. Because the reality is, you just saying it, and I've had clients who walked into court and wanted to slap papers that they've read off Google websites and WebMD as their justification to show it. I'm like, that never is going to work, because you know what has more impact? More impact is from a doctor. I've got one client like that who has a very unique congenital condition that literally is not going anywhere. But you know what he has? He has a treating doctor who regularly treats him and puts notes in his records that says specifically, due to the uniqueness of this particular condition, not subject to improvement. He basically provides him a prescription of medication to deal with the discomfort, but he has to work around the problems. That is one of the rare situations. But you know what's great? The guy goes to a doctor, though. He has someone who's following him in the event that if there is something that can be provided, whether it be a surgical technique or new medication or new treatment regimen, he's on track to getting treatment. Trust me. So security ain't trying to hear, I ain't gonna get no better, so ain't no need to go anybody. That's not the way it goes down, Bubbo. Let's say, the way it works is that you have a duty to prove you're disabled. And part of your duty is getting medical treatment.